Hello and welcome to Fortuda on this World Tourism Day. Today, our guests represent two markets that demonstrated a very strong resilience in the face of the global pandemic. These are Middle East, namely Dubai, and Eastern Europe, namely Russia. I'm pleased to welcome to our meeting Tim Cordon from Radisson Hotel Group and Takuya Aoyama from Hyatt. I'll start with a very simple and clear question. What is your number one priority today as a business?
My top priority today is the same as it was yesterday and the same as it probably will be tomorrow, which is our people, our teams. I've said many times, but a hotel is nothing without the people that manage it, the people that actually provide the experiences to our guests. So that remains and pretty much always will be my top priority. Never more so than now when we've been under so much pressure for such a long period of time.
There are many priorities. I think for everybody, I think the number one priority is to stay healthy, look after your family and friends. I think that should be the absolute number one priority. But business-wise, it's the same thing. I think I have been doing what I have been doing all those years. Continuing to develop Hyatt brand properties, and not just developing, but in a meaningful way. Yeah.
Thank you, Takuya. Answering my question, you mentioned meaningful. What does it mean to you?
The way I define, so on one hand, each of us have goals to meet. Yeah. And that obviously drives part of what we do, but I think we have to I shouldn't let that goal alone drive what I do. So, we shouldn't be doing deals that do not make sense for the owner or for the local community, no matter how tempting they may be. So, yeah, you can say it's selectively. We still have to be selective. We have to have a discipline. And sometimes you have to say, look, it doesn't make sense. Let's don't do it. Let's say each of us continue to sign deals, let's say 1,000 rooms per year, right? How are we going to fill those? How are we going to staff those hotels? We are not, we're thinking about developing more, but we are not thinking about the other end of the story. We cannot just say, okay, operations are going to find out the solution. It's not going to be like that. So the whole issue of sustainability, it was mostly about environmental sustainability, but now it's taking a different meaning.
Give us an example of how tourism is bouncing back where you are today. Is it bouncing back?
Yes, I'm happy to say that I'm sitting in Dubai today, and Dubai is gradually relaxing its restrictions, but has been open since July the 15th, 2020, and we haven't closed since then. So yes, I think it's bouncing back. I'm delighted to say that forward bookings look very good, but what I would say is bouncing back from a commercial point of view to 2019 levels, which seems to be the benchmark everybody's heading for, is great. But as an organization, we aren't trying to achieve what we had in 2019. We weren't happy with the way business was then and the way our organization was then. We were trying to improve it, so we're going to continue to try and improve it. We're also adapting and evolving and innovating. And a lot of that is to do with how we deploy technology as an enabler for our customers' experiences, to make our hotels more efficient, certainly, but to enhance the customer experience in our buildings and in our business. So we're deploying a range of different things, from hybrid meetings, which is, of course, a well-trodden path now. Something that we wouldn't even countenance in 2019 is now not quite commonplace, but we've all experienced it, right the way through to our own bespoke property management system, which helps us with customer relations so much. So there's some huge projects, and I'm delighted to say that we've continued to invest over 100 million euros actually in the last couple of years on innovation and new products for our businesses.
This year, particularly year 2021, yes. And if you look back at 2020, it was obviously everybody suffered, but there are some bright spots in the region. For the region I'm covering, for instance, Sochi has been, you can ask Marriott, you can ask everybody else, Hilton, Radisson. Sochi has been doing super well, and beyond anybody's imagination. And that has been a bright spot. And in general, I think Russian market has been resilient. You know why. I think people there have a different perception of risks. So domestically, and also domestically because people didn't travel. And I think Russian market has been good for, let's say, hotels in Turkey. So there are, if you look around, there are signs that this industry is robust.
I know very well what you mean by different perception of risk. That's a very exact and precise definition, but it looks like it worked out rather well for the hospitality market in the region. And do you think the lessons that you learned throughout this process could be applicable to other geographical markets?
What everybody's experience over the last 18 months have taught us is that we have not paid enough attention to the domestic market. We have not paid enough attention to drive to markets. We have not paid enough attention to markets where where you don't have to fly to. So and those are the things that really saved or at least supported the industry. So yes, Russia is one case where a huge country with people who want to go somewhere, and obviously if they cannot go to, I don't know, Turkey or south of France, they'll go to Sochi. Similarly, I think countries where with sizable population and attractive resort destination, I think they did well. They did better than city markets, because city markets are depending on the corporate tourism. But leisure demand is here to stay. It's in our nature. But I think big brands have not done as well as they should have on addressing those things. Yeah.
Has the COVID crisis affect your product offering anyhow? Were there any changes on this front?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the technology I was just talking about, which is, we call it EMEA, for Every Moment Matters, is a revolutionary new way of engaging with our guests. So if a customer comes and stays with us in Dubai and has a great time, but tells us, for example, that they really want hypoallergenic pillows in their room, that information is stored in EMEA. So EMEA's listening, we say, so that when the customer then checks into a hotel in Aberdeen, then first of all, the guest is recognized as being someone who stayed recently in Dubai. How was your trip to Dubai? And we understand you need hypoallergenic pillows. So here you go. They're already in your room for you. And we also use that as a platform to communicate with our guests. Not mandatorily, so a guest can always talk to a person, but if they want to just make a quick room service order or a quick request, then they can chat using an app on their phone to facilitate a much better sort of guest engagement. And that's the important thing for me, that we use the technology to provide guests with a better experience, not to replace an existing experience necessarily, but to enhance an existing experience. Some guests will want to use that technology to interact with us, and some guests will prefer to have a more human experience. even the same customer on different trips will want different things. So we're prepared for that.
I think it's a very interesting point about the need and reality actually of combining both the technology side of the business, but also a human side. How do you manage to balance it?
Well, like I said, it's as much about providing a choice. I'm sure you're the same, but when I travel and I'm just traveling for business, perhaps it's a 1 or 2 night stay, I arrive in a city, I kind of want a no hassle experience. You know, if I can check in online and even use my phone as the key card for my room, fantastic. It's slick and it's smooth and it maximizes the effectiveness of my trip. But if I'm traveling for leisure and I have my family with me, and perhaps I do want a different check-in experience. I want to ask about what time breakfast is served and what my dinner options are and what's included in my rate and all those things. So people want those different experiences, and just making sure we provide them in a memorable way is what we're all about.
Did you manage to travel this year? And if so, how far? And also, what is traveling for you?
I've traveled quite a bit. Let's see, I've done 3 countries in September, 4 countries if you count where I'm based. No, it'll be 5 actually. Sorry. So yeah, we're traveling fairly extensively. I think the difference is that previously I'd travel more often than I am now, for sure, but for shorter periods of time. Whereas now, because we've become so adept and so used to this sort of communication, we're replacing some travel with that. Which means, what that means though is that when you do travel, it's more meaningful, it's more precious, and perhaps it's for a slightly longer period of time. But you really appreciate the human interaction far more because it's less common. It's more scarce. So I think travel, if anything, has become more valuable for me.
The first time I traveled since the COVID started was in March. I went to Uzbekistan. I was not vaccinated at that time. And to my horror, nobody was wearing masks in Uzbekistan. So they took it very easy. So that was the first time I traveled. And since then, and that was on business. Since then, I've been to Bulgaria, UK, Romania, Croatia. Yeah, so, you know, I have been traveling, yes. And that's, you know, that made me feel very well about life. You know, some of the hotels I visit, like I haven't seen my colleagues for like 2 years. And it was great to see them, you know, again. And you know, another thing that COVID has taught us is you can't wait. You know, because we don't know what happens tomorrow. We really don't know, right? So good things, you don't postpone good things. You have to do it.
I so agree with you on this, Takuya. The value of a moment cannot be over-exaggerated. Therefore, maybe enjoying your life in all senses, personal, business, making the most of it is the most reasonable and sensible approach these days. And now the very last question. In spite of all the difficulties, challenges, troubles, crises, you name it, that the travel and hospitality industry has been experiencing recently, you are still part of it. Why?
I believe in it. I believe in the strength of the industry, and I believe in the future of this business very passionately. But more than that, it's great fun. I've always enjoyed working in hotels and in our industry. It's a fantastic business to be part of, and you can have a lot of fun with it. You're autonomous. You can make great decisions. You can learn a lot. So yeah, I wouldn't dream of doing anything else.
Because I enjoy it, obviously, and this particular position, being a hotel developer, I mean, this I always say that this is the best position. This is the best job I've ever had. I didn't want to call it a job, but this is the best thing I've ever done professionally. So I'm not going to be easily giving it up. But on a more serious note, I have noticed personally that many people have left the industry. because they have realized that they cannot rely on this sector to support their family. And I think the industry has to think about this, to how to make this industry more attractive again. I think there has to be a real reckoning. Obviously we have to give people better pay, but also I think it's not only about the pay, it's the security. And I think that's going to be a huge challenge. I think travel industry has survived many things. It has survived wars. It has survived financial crisis. So we'll come out of this. I think, and we will come out of it, and I hope we'll come out better and smarter. Because you're looking around, we have all sorts of challenges, and then it's a great time to think about what we have done and think about what we would do better. And then I think this industry is going to be, around prosperous. And yeah, I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate all the colleagues in the industry for hanging out and still doing the thing. We need each other. People need you, so keep going.
I'm very proud to work in hospitality and to work in the hotel industry, and of course, very proud to be a part of Radisson Hotel Group. Had I think the pride that comes from what we've done over the last couple of years is as an industry. We've had some incredibly tough times. Hospitality is one of the hardest hit sectors. And to see the way that we've pulled together, hotels helping each other in different cities, regardless of which company, I think has been really encouraging and shows the strength and vitality of our business.
On this note, I would like to thank our guests for sharing their thoughts and experiences. As always, your expertise is extremely valuable, and we are grateful you found time for us and our viewers. And of course, congratulations to everyone involved in travel, tourism, and hospitality industry on the World Tourism Day. Stay safe and optimistic.